White Zombie with Thunder Kiss 65, Soundgarden, Chili Peppers, and live. Coming up, Stain, Metallica, and more. Myrock 96.5 Bladerunner Radio Show. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it. If you're listening to us online and you're in the Houston area, be on the lookout for an alligator in your neighborhood with a steak knife sticking out of its forehead. This woman called up, I guess wherever you call when you find an alligator with a steak knife sticking out of its head, Red Lobster, to report that she saw this, and she said that in the past alligators have come into their neighborhood and nobody's ever caused any problem between the alligator or the people, and she doesn't understand why there's a steak knife sticking out of this alligator's head, other than the fact of, have you ever tried to eat one without it? But the alligator, for the most part, is pretty chill. It's congruous with the neighborhood and nature. With that said, don't let him fool you. He's chill, but they are also extremely dangerous. These alligators are badass in general anyway, and then the fact that this one is so chill with a steak knife sticking out of its head. This alligator is so badass, it's wearing a t-shirt that says, "I just ate a guy vacationing from Cancun, and all I got was this lousy steak knife stuck in my head." Myrock 96.5, your real rock station. Black Crows, yo. And we'll gaze either gay like bay asses may. Us jay I glay, itches way like bay asses may. War Pig Latin.
The Bladerunner Radio Show, Myrock 96.5.
Speak to Me and Breathe, Pink Floyd. That's two in the pink right there. Rob Zombie, Guns N' Roses, Tool, Myrock 96.5, Bladerunner Radio Show. I'm the Bladerunner. Thank you guys for joining us. There are things happening in the Myrock community you need to know about. My Brother's Place presents the 2019 Toys for Tots Costume Fun Run at the Elephant Trail in Hugo coming up this Saturday. $10 to pre-register. Please bring a new unwrapped toy, one per person, to be raffled off at the race. Registration begins at 7 a.m. and then they're going to start the run up at 8. All the proceeds will go to the Hugo Toys for Tots, and it'll be a great thing that you can do for our community. The Myrock community, 96.5. This is the Bladerunner Radio Show.
Myrock 96.5.
Guns N' Roses, Myrock 96.5, your real rock station. This is the Bladerunner Radio Show. I'm the Bladerunner. I appreciate you listening, and thank you for that. If you are a Guns N' Roses fan, obviously you already have your tickets for Wednesday the 23rd, Chesapeake Energy Arena, Oklahoma City. Amazing that these guys have picked us for this leg of the tour. That's awesome. It's a bit of a drive, but worth it. I'm sure the drive is actually shorter than any amount of time Axl's ever made you wait out in the rain for 2 days before they came out on the damn stage. We chatted with Slash a while back, and in the least eloquent of fashion, typically, asked about Steven Adler's non-Guns N' Roses status. How many drugs was Steven Adler doing that he got kicked out of Guns N' Roses?
This is probably important, and a lot of people relate to this. If you're, as a musician, you know, you get away with murder because you're in a rock and roll band. But the most important thing about being in a rock and roll band is being able to play. And no matter what you do in your off time, when you're working, you have to be able to perform. And you have a certain amount of leniency because it's a rock and roll band. You don't have to be a trained jazz musician to do it, you know. It's like, it comes from the heart. And so when you get too out there, what happens is you lose touch with that. And so you have to be able to reel yourself back in and prioritize. And what happened with Steven was that as far out, I mean, we were probably one of the worst bands of all time when it came to that. But when it came down to it, we would pull together to be able to play. And so Steven, we got so far out there between the albums, from Appetite to the Use Your Illusions thing. And at one point we realized, okay, it's time to make a record. We got to come down off this thing and pull it together. And we all had to struggle through it, but we all did it. And Steven we could never reel him back in, and he couldn't find his snare drum for his life. You know?
So that was Slash, and then we heard that Steven was cleaned up, but he's not in the band, and we sort of wondered why until we did an interview with Steven Adler a couple of weeks ago. And you joined the Bullet Boys for a little bit and played on one of their albums?
No.
You weren't?
I never played with Bullet Boys.
Oh.
Did I? Yeah. I'm going to have to match my partner if I played with him. He told me, no, I don't know. No, but I love those guys. I love Marky. He's a great guy.
Well,
It's a terrain.
We need to update.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know.
So now
it's too early for me.
All right, Steven Adler, formerly of Guns N' Roses. Feel bad for the guy, but seriously, you don't know if you were in the Bullet Boys or not. I'm not judging. I'll let my snarky ass attitude convey that. I'm not surprised, honestly, that he's not in the band, which is a shame, and I hope things turn out the best for him. This is MyRock 96.5 Blade Runner Radio Show.
The Blade Runner Radio Show. MyRock 96.5.
Godsmack Under Your Scars, Pantera, Crew, and Smashing Pumpkins up in a bit, Nirvana, and music from The Cult. Be around for that. This is MyRock 96.5. We are your real rock station. I'm the Blade Runner. Thank you for listening to the Blade Runner Radio Show. Sharon Osbourne says that Ozzy was recently brought to tears because he's been unable to tour for health reasons and says that he misses his life. Ozzy shared a video message last week we played for you, breaking the bad news to European fans that he's been forced once again to postpone a tour featuring Judas Priest. Sharon spoke about this video on a recent episode of The Talk. She said, we were watching something the other day of a band that was on the road. It was a documentary. I don't even know who the band was. It showed them all traveling on the tour bus, and Ozzy said, turn it off. I can't watch. He had a tear in his eye, and he's like, I miss my life so much, and he just can't wait to get the okay from the doctors to let him go out on the road again. He just wants to go out and fly. That's what he does, which I guess is probably Ozzy's nice way of saying, I don't want to be around you all day, Sharon. But I will tell you, I had the opportunity when I worked out in Atlanta to interview Ozzy. Super cool dude. He asked me if I was coming to the show, but I did a night show, and I couldn't make it to his concert, so I suggested that he called up my boss at home and asked him if I could have the night off to go, and he did. And it went like this.
Ozzy, how the hell are you?
How you doing?
Good. Are you in Atlanta tonight?
Yeah, I'm in Atlanta. I'm ready to rock tomorrow.
Excellent.
We're going to sell out show, thank God. And you know, I have a motto for this tour. The crazier the kids go, the crazier I go, you know.
So if we want to see Ozzy at his best, we got to see the audience at its best tomorrow night.
It's kind of like a big party, you know.
Oh, hell yeah. And everybody's invited.
Oh, yeah.
There's like standing room only now, from what I understand.
Oh, yeah.
And from what I understand, I also won't be standing there. I've got to work tomorrow night.
Get your boss to get you off.
Well, I was thinking, you know, would you, if like after we get off the phone here, if I could give you his home phone number, if you could just like quickly buzz him up and go, hey, look, Michael, it's Ozzy. Blade Runner would really like to go to the show. Could you please excuse him because I think he's going to be sick tomorrow? Could you do that for me?
Yeah, sure.
Hey, 96.
Blade Runner.
Yeah.
I had just received a call from Ozzy Osbourne at my home.
Michael, hi. How you doing?
Something about tomorrow night off?
Did he mention something about me being sick tomorrow?
Have you had this on the air yet?
I mentioned something about it on the air about, you know, maybe if Ozzy would call you up and ask if you know, then I could go to the show or something. I may have mentioned it casually in passing.
So you go on the air with it. Ozzy calls me, and I'm supposed to look like the jerk because I can't let you off for one night.
I figure if I had Ozzy call you up, you know, that way you'd have to let me go.
Well, yeah, I guess I do now.
Really?
We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Ozzy calling my boss to get me off of work to go to the show, which I went to, met Ozzy backstage. It was very cool. I will always cherish that moment in my life with Ozzy Osbourne. A very, very cool rock and roll moment from Ozzy and the Blade Runner Radio Show. This is MyRock 96.5. It's Linkin Park. Within the End, we did Journey, we did Radiohead. Coming up, Queen, Shinedown, and Stone Sour. This is MyRock 96.5, your real rock station. I'm the Blade Runner. It's the Blade Runner Radio Show. Now, I don't know if you've seen this, but a Dallas Cowboy fan has started up a GoFundMe page to pay off head coach Jason Garrett's contract and get him fired after their loss to the Jets. Jets were in last place. They were doing nothing, had no wins, and they beat out the Dallas Cowboys 24-22, pissing everybody off. So now there's this GoFundMe page set up trying to get Jason Garrett's contract paid off. Looks like Jerry Jones doesn't agree with that. He is hanging tough with Garrett, as he sort of did with Tony Romo. Now, Romo probably should have been out a little bit sooner. They brought in Dak Prescott a little bit late. Look what he's been doing for the franchise, doing a great job. Jerry Jones hung tough with him for quite some time, and he seems to be doing that now with Jason Garrett. At least the comments that he made, he said, I'm going to be very trite. I was a lot happier with what he had done the first 3 games than what's happened the last 3 games. But the big thing I want to say is it's not just him. This is across the board. That had a lot of input out there tonight to get in that spot. So if there's one thing to be said about Jerry Jones is he's got some loyalty and he will hang in there and make that commitment. A friend of mine posted on Facebook that they need to get Stoops to come in and replace Jason Garrett as head coach, which is a bit dangerous because you want to make sure you specify which Stoops you're talking about. Mike could probably use the work right now, and that's probably the last thing that Dallas needs. Bob Stoops is already committed to Dallas with the reboot of the XFL happening in 2020. Now, you got to say, Bob Stoops, 18 seasons, beat out Barry Switzer, the king of OU, as OU's all-time winningest coach, but Barry did bring home a ring for Dallas. Either way, there's a GoFundMe page set up. You can go there and donate to get Jason Garrett bought out and fired and be gone with, or you can go to this GoFundMe page and tell the guy to go fund himself. MyRock 96.5, this is the Blade Runner Radio Show.
Blade Runner, I like to hear a good song, man. I like to hear Shine Down. Rock on, man.
The Blade Runner Radio Show. MyRock 96.